So hello viewers, today I'm so excited to host a new guest to my channel, and we'll be talking about something different. We'll be talking about depression and anxiety, and I'll not talk much. I'll ask her to introduce herself so that she can tell us more.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Sheila Mugo. I'm a psychologist living with depression and anxiety. We offer psychosocial support to people who have been neglected by the community, people who are stigmatized. So they go through a lot of issues, and that's what we deal with.
So take us to your childhood, like how did you grow up?
So I was born in Tharaka County. That is where I grew up and went to school. I went to primary in a school called Kera Academy. I went to high school in Chuka Girls, and then I did my undergraduate in University of Nairobi, where I studied psychology and sociology.
Yeah.
Yes.
So between primary school and high school, is there a point where you felt like something was going wrong?
Not exactly. It was going wrong, but I didn't know because I always felt like I was different. Actually, I was not fitting in because I tried so much to be friendly to people in school. When I went home, I always stayed in my bedroom. I felt like I was not part of the family. So for some reason, I felt like I'm not, what do we call it?
Like you're different?
Yeah, I felt like I was different. So, and because of that, I got into trouble so much with my family, and it's like I was the rebellious child because the things that they thought what I should be doing is not what I thought I should be doing.
Yeah.
So for some reason I was like the rebellious child because people didn't understand what was wrong with me. For example, if we went to for an outing, I would get so bored so fast, and then I'll start asking when are we going home. So I think people thought that I don't appreciate what is happening, what they're doing for me, but I couldn't explain, and I even didn't know something was wrong. Yeah.
So when you look back to those years, are there things that you did that were rebellious in nature, but what you were trying to do is trying to see if you're going to fit in?
I think no. I'm the kind of person who believes in, okay, let me tell you, I didn't know that I was
having a problem.
Yeah. So I did what I thought was good for me, but then for other people it was wrong.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it was not like I was trying to fit in, I was trying to do me.
Yeah.
But then it was different from what other people were thinking I should be doing.
And it was hurting them.
Yeah, and it was hurting them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all this time you've mentioned that you didn't know that you had something was going wrong. So at what point do you realize, like, wait a minute, I think something has been going on that I didn't think, that I was not aware of?
So that has taken a long time because you realize when I was young I had these issues, and then when I went to campus I did psychology. That's when I started realizing there's something wrong. There might be something wrong with me, but I ignored it. So fast forward to when I was in 2019, yeah, 2019. So that is when I had my breakdown, my mental breakdown. So I was constantly tired. So I kept saying I'm tired, and people would tell me take a break. I go to work, I go at home and sleep, but even when I wake up I'm still tired, until I changed my appearance, and people were like, Sheila, you look so stressed. So at some point I started feeling like at that moment I didn't know exactly what was happening, but I was trying to look for ways to end my life. So I will not go to details as to what I thought about, but that is when I realized I'm having a problem.
Yeah.
Because one day it was so intense that I knew if I don't go for counseling, I might not get home. Yeah. So that is, with all that period, I came to realize that really there's a problem in 2019. 2019 or 2018? It's a problem. 2019.
Mm-hmm. When now you are in campus, you are studying psychology, did you love the course? How did you choose psychology?
Very interesting. Because the reason I chose psychology is because we didn't do any mathematics. Yeah, I hate mathematics, so I chose the courses.
That has no math.
Yeah. So, but in the end, it ended up to be a very good thing for me, because if I didn't do psychology, I wouldn't have known that I have a problem. Yeah.
And now you are going through the course in university, and now you realize that you might have a problem. Are you able to mention the things that you exhibited that made you feel like, wait, I'm like this, but this is not the way it's supposed to be. Maybe I have something going on.
So when I was in campus, I did not take much of it, because like in campus, where I was there to, like many other people, to pass exams. So, but the thing is, I didn't, because that was my life. That is the life I had lived. So I did not exactly know the difference. Yeah. So for example, when you talk about panic attacks and anxiety, that has been my life all through. So at that moment, I could not relate very well to what they're saying. But the story about thinking about death and thinking about harming yourself, so that is what rang a bell. But I ignored it. Yeah.
Okay. So in 2019, you discover you need counseling services. Where do you start?
So at first I went to Kenya Association of Professional Counselors. At that time when I was calling them, I was feeling like, I've told you, like I will not get home today. So I called them at around 3, and then they told me I can book an appointment and come on Monday. That was on a Thursday. So, and then I told them, no, I can't wait that long. They told me, come. You know, for such an organization, they know that when you need counseling, for someone who says it's urgent, they know it's urgent. So I went there, and from there I sat there until they found me a counselor at around 5.
Yeah.
So we talked with the counselor, and then I went home. I was still not okay, because at that point I had reached the end for me. I was at rock bottom. So I went there for counseling like 2 times. It was not helping, so I went to Chiromaleng to see a psychiatrist, because I was, as a counselor, as a psychologist, I knew this was much more than maybe counseling. So when I saw a psychologist, she prescribed for me some medicine, so that I could at least calm down, get to a point where I could start my therapy. So having lived with depression and anxiety for that long, when I took the medicine, I could not believe that is how people live. I was calm, my head was calm. At work I used to tell people, you mean this is how you lived?
Yeah, it was quiet.
It was quiet. I did not have panic attacks when I go to meetings. Yeah, so it was a very strange feeling for me. So actually that is why many people who are living with depression and anxiety, they don't that is one of the reasons they don't seek treatment, because they don't know they don't know that they are sick, because that has been your life for that long. You don't know. You don't know. You should not be having panic attacks. You should not be struggling to wake up in the morning. You should not be struggling to meet people. Yeah. So I remember one day we were with my cousin some time back. Also, we are having coffee, and then she tells me that she's working on social skills with a therapist. And I was asking, also she told me she's working on, okay, cut you. Okay, I remember one time when I was having coffee with my cousin, and she told me she is working on anxiety with her therapist, that when she meets people, she struggles with where to look, what the person is thinking about them. She struggles. So, and I asked her, what are you working on? Because that has been me. Like, I still do anyway. I struggle meeting people, new people, because of all that. So, but that point, that is normal. So I was wondering, you mean people don't feel like this? Yeah. So, like I said, people who have lived with these illnesses, they don't know any difference. Yeah.
Life is the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've gone to Chiromo and you've seen a psychiatrist. How were you attended?
So when I went, there's a screening tool they use. So there's a difference between a psychiatrist and psychologist.
Please tell us the difference.
A psychiatrist is a doctor who prescribes medicine for you. And then a psychologist is more of a therapist. Is a therapist who you work, who helps you identify the triggers, who helps you deal with the illness that you have. You get coping mechanism according to your likes, your personality. So something that can work for me cannot work for you. So your therapist helps you with all that. And the best way to treat a mental illness is for the two people to work together, because you see that so many people these days, they just take the medication. So when you take the medication, you don't know how to deal, you don't know where it's coming from, you don't work on the psychological aspect, you just take the medicine. So which takes a long time to heal, because it's just the chemicals that you're stabilizing. You're not working on the issues.
So you have to look for what is triggering that emotion that you are going to see a psychiatrist for. Okay, now you are telling us that there's a screening test they did to you.
So when you're screened, and then with a psychiatrist, she screens, and then you just it's just more for a talk. So you explain your symptoms, and then she diagnoses what you have. So after she diagnoses, she gives you the medicine, whether you need the medicine, and then for me, she directed me to to a psychologist. So in Chiromo, you have all of these people in the same building, so it's easier for you to get attended.
So when the screening test was done, what did the psychiatrist diagnose you with?
So I had depression and anxiety. So I took medicine for some time, but then that was in April like 2019. So the thing about depression and anxiety is either the end result is either you harm yourself or you harm someone else. So at the end of 2019, I was still on medication, but I had these thoughts that of harming others. So I talked to my psychiatrist, and I was admitted for some time, because it's like one of the symptoms of depression. When you have a mental illness, you have these thoughts that you want to harm others. So for me, that was scary at first, because I had these images in my head. For example, I would get so angry. Irritation is another symptom. I would get so angry for something very small, and then the reaction in my head was very, very severe. So, and that was in my head. So, and then after some time, I realized that I was it's like I was losing control. I was not knowing the difference of what is happening in my head and what I was doing physically. For example, this guy who did something very small that I cannot even remember, and then I threw a pen at him. So
Is this in your mind or?
I threw a pen.
Literally?
Yeah. But then in my mind, it was something different, something very graphic. So that's when I told my psychiatrist, and it had happened for some time, not to one person, but I had not injured them. But now in my head, I had these graphic images. So I told my psychiatrist, and then that is how I was admitted. So when I was admitted, I stayed there for like two weeks. I told my psychiatrist, now I had rumors that people are getting fired at work. So I told my doctors I need to go back so that I don't lose my job. And then they told me, if you go like this, you're going to do something bad, and you pray God that you're not brought back by the police. So that was my turning point in my life, because I knew in my head I was afraid that I might do something. But when I had my psychiatrist and psychologist say, you need to stay here and get better. So that was the turning point in my life, because I knew if I don't get better, it might be a different story. Yeah.
So I'll take you back to the hospital. There are things, as an outsider, we think of psychiatric wards, and we think that there's this whole illusion, either from watching movies or something, that the ward is an isolation, like you in your own room, isolated, the door is shut. Is that the case? What is the situation like in there?
Whatever we see is very wrong, because even me, in the beginning, I was so scared. I was so scared of getting admitted. But when it's just like our normal ward, the only problem is, the only difference is, people in the normal world, you can see they have a certain illness. For example, someone is vomiting, someone is coughing, someone is, but the other side, you don't see anything. They're just people like you and me. Yeah.
So you have your bed and then another person on this.
So it
next
depends.
To you.
It depends. The same way in hospital for physical illnesses, there are general wards, there are private wards. It's the same thing even the other side.
Yeah,
there are general wards, there are private wards. It's just a normal hospital, but for people with psychosocial issues. Yeah.
Okay. And for how long did you stay in the ward?
Almost a month. Because after that incident, not incident, but after my talk with my therapists, when they told me that I need to stay and get better, so I decided, okay, I have to work on myself. So everything else did not matter. I stayed there for another 2 weeks, and I got out. I was fine. Yeah.
And during this time that you're in hospital, your friends?
So when I got to, before I was admitted, I had not destroyed, but I was not in good terms with my friends, because they would call me, I was not picking my calls, and when I pick, I get rude. So at that point, there are just very few came to visit, and so most of them did not understand what I was doing there, because I seemed fine.
Yeah.
So they didn't understand, and I was always irritated when somebody says something that is not true. For example, you need to get better, you need to go home, you have a child.
Yeah.
Like, I know I have a child, I'm not here by choice.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was rude to them, so I did not understand that. I did not see life from their point of view.
Yes.
Because it's very hard for someone who has not gone through a mental illness to understand what you're going through. So, and the problem is they have an opinion. Most people have opinions on what you should be doing, and they have no clue. So when you get mad, they're like, but I don't know, I cannot understand. Yeah, so if you don't understand, support, just listen. Yeah, don't judge, don't offer opinions. You don't understand, just support, just listen, say you'll be fine, like that.
How old is your child?
She's fine.
How old is she?
Oh, she's 10 years.
And when you were going through that period of being depressed and anxious, Was she understanding what you're going through?
No, I was actually withdrawn. The thing is, when you have this depression, you always feel like you want to stay alone. When you go home, you want to go to your bedroom and sleep, and that time you have responsibilities at home. So it's more of you neglect your responsibilities at home. So one of the signs that I realized that I had a problem is one day when I got home, I used to get home straight to the bedroom and shower and sleep. So one day when I was getting to the bedroom, my daughter followed me with her handbag and the phone, and then she said, "This is how mom gets home," and followed me to the bedroom. So I realized, oh God, I have neglected her.
So she imitated your walk from the door and into your bedroom, and so basically at that time when you were going through that, did you ever spare like moments where you bond with her, or you withdrew completely? I
withdrew completely.
So now you've come out of the psychiatric ward and you've been discharged to join now the world. What was your first day like? What did you do on your first day after discharge?
So the first thing I did, I went to cut my hair. I had very long locks. So the first thing I did is went to kinyozi, and I told him I want you to cut this hair. And they're like, "Oh, you're cutting all this hair?" I'm like, "Cut it." I didn't even want to negotiate because it was like I have a brand new life, and I think cutting my hair symbolized that I want to move on.
And then you left the ward straight into a kinyozi.
Then I went home. So after I went home in Nairobi, I packed my daughter, and then we went home to Shags. So I stayed there for around 3 months. I just wanted a break from everything. So in my stay in hospital, it was like everything that I thought of, I believed about myself had been pulled out. So I had to take like 3 months to figure out who I am, what I need to do. So it was a very enlightening moment because I didn't have responsibilities. I didn't go to work. I just stayed home, which was very important to figure out the next step in my life.
And during that moment of taking a break, during that moment when you were taking the break, what did you decide? How did you want your life to be moving on?
So during that break, I reflected in my life in hospital, how I had abandoned people because of the misunderstanding. I realized that they didn't understand what I was going through, and looking at life from their perspective, they didn't understand why I don't look sick, but then I'm saying I'm sick. So that is when I started the idea that I need to raise awareness on mental health for people to understand people who are going through mental issues and know how to support them. So that is how my organization came about.
So before we move on to your foundation, when you took that moment to reflect when you're at home, what is your opinion about society with regards to people who are living with depression, anxiety, or any other psychosocial issue?
I would say there's a lot of ignorance about mental health because, like I said, it's very hard for somebody, the person who has not lived with this illness, to understand what you're going through. And also there's ignorance about people who are living with the illness. They don't know they have an illness. So for example, when you say, like, for example, my family, they are very loving and very supportive. But now the kind of support I require is not the kind of support that they are giving. For example, sometimes I need to rest. I need to take a break from everything. But now they don't understand why I'm taking a break. So they are stressed on my behalf. I'm doing well.
You just need a break.
I just need a break, but now they are stressed as to why I'm not doing such stuff. So I'll say for the families and for the society, we need a lot of awareness to understand what mental illness is and how to support a loved one who is going through these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, for someone who has listened to this video, and we've highlighted the symptoms of anxiety and depression and anxiety, here, there. So what were your symptoms? Because they may vary from one person to another, but put together, what were your symptoms?
So generally, symptoms of depression are, one, you start losing interest in the things that you loved. You change your eating patterns. Sometimes there are people who overeat. There are others who don't have appetite. Another thing is sleep. When you start losing sleep, for example, you wake up in the middle of the night, or there are others who oversleep. And then another thing would be lack of concentration and forgetfulness. So if you are engaged in a conversation and you find more often that your mind wanders around, so that's another sign. Another sign would be thoughts of death. For example, it's not necessarily that you want to kill yourself, but maybe, for example, if somebody dies, you're like, that one
akona bahati.
Akona bahati. Yeah, so that's even a major one. For anybody, thoughts of death, that should be a red flag. Another thing would be anger and irritation. So if you're easily angered and you're irritated over small things, that is a sign that something is not well.
So you've mentioned that you had depression and anxiety, but we've dwelt on depression. So how did the anxiety come about?
So for the anxiety, I don't know when it started, but I've had all these symptoms all my life. So one would be sometimes you get increased heartbeat. Those are called panic attacks. You get increased heartbeat, you can't breathe well, you're sweaty, like my hands at the moment I'm anxious. So for sometimes you go blank. For example, we've seen students and maybe adults who have been asked to speak maybe in public, and then they stand and they are quiet. So, and you're wondering what is happening. So for that person, he or she is having a panic attack, but you can't see. There are people who shake. So these things happen frequently. People have these things, but they don't understand that this is not how I should be living. Yeah. Okay. So there are those panic attacks. You get sweaty, you start shaking, you can't breathe, your chest you feel like is tight. There are people who have diarrhea. So people need to understand that these things can be treated, and actually you can live a very comfortable life. Yeah.
This is a disclaimer. All these symptoms have been mentioned, but please do not use the content that we've just aired here to self-diagnose. If you feel that you are exhibiting all those symptoms, just seek medical assistance, just to be sure, okay? Now, tell us about your foundation. You told us it's called Blissful Minds Kenya, right? What do you do?
So we offer psychosocial support to many people who have been discriminated by the society, and raise also awareness on social media. And we also go to forums to speak about mental illness. Yeah, so that basically it.
How long have you been operational?
2 years.
Yeah. And in your course of creating awareness and all that, what's been your biggest breakthrough? Like a milestone you made and you were like, this is why I formed the organization.
So like I said, I'm also a psychologist. So I get consultancy contracts to offer this support to people. Yeah, so I make my major breakthrough is as a consultant with one of the major donors in Kenya. I don't want to mention them. I don't know if I should mention them, but but that has been a major breakthrough because it has helped me help a lot of people who didn't know, first of all, they were living with the illness. And even my biggest achievement is when somebody comes to my office feeling down, and then after our talk he or she leaves my office smiling. So I know what that means because I've been there. I know how this helps, how this does to somebody. So if I've at least made your day, that is my biggest accomplishment.
So all through this interview, I've been thinking, someone who is watching might wonder, like, how possible is it for someone to be depressed and anxious and still check themselves into a hospital? What would you say about that?
The thing is, when you're depressed and anxious, there are these signs that there are symptoms. For example, when you have a physical illness like malaria, how do you take yourself into hospital? You start vomiting, you have a headache. So there are also symptoms of a mental illness. So when you start exhibiting those symptoms, it's time to check yourself in.
Okay. Another question. As a psychologist living with depression and anxiety, does it bring conflict in your work? Like, why would you offer psychosocial support to people when you're also going through the same thing?
Okay, so that is a question many people ask, but what we need to understand is having a mental illness is an illness just like any other. For example, we have doctors who are battling other forms of illnesses. That does not make them less a doctor. So and another thing is, I am a psychologist and I have gone through this illness and I'm living with it. So it gives me empathy to understand what you're going through, like I've been there. And for people who doubt this, for a psychologist who is living with a mental illness, there are other options. We have people who are not living with the illness. So it's a pool. You just choose who you want to go to.
All right. So how can people find you on social media?
Blissful Mind Kenya on any social media platform.
Okay. So I think we've come to the end of our interview. We're going to leave contacts that you can approach Sheila with. You might also be someone who is living with depression, anxiety, or any other form of condition that may require counseling. So we're going to leave her contacts there, and then you can contact her, and then you can take it up from there. But until next time, enjoy your time, and remember to like, subscribe, and comment on the comment section. If you want us to host you on our channel, also drop us an email. We're going to leave the email address at the comment section.
Okay. Something that I need to emphasize is in the media these days, you see people killing each other. Parents are killing their children. Children are killing their parents. So what I need to emphasize is, when you start having these thoughts that you see you're killing someone or you're hurting somebody else, that is a sign that you need to get help, because I've been there, I've had these thoughts, I've been admitted, I've gone through treatment, and now I'm fine. So for the people who are feeling these things, you don't have to shy away from speaking about it. You just need to get someone who understands what you're saying. Don't tell everybody. You just need to get the person who understands what you're saying, and they're going to support you through this. You don't have to get to that point where you've murdered someone, because these things can be treated.
Okay.